Hello, everybody. Good night to everybody. It's my pleasure to be here. My name is Jose Badano. I'm from Pasteur Montevideo, and I was given the honor to guide you through this open ceremony. So, but before we start with the actual ceremony, let's pay attention, please, to this safety information that is very important.
Please remain calm and alert. If there is no evacuation announcement, we will continue our conference agenda. If there is an emergency case, evacuation announcement will be made through the hotel PA system. In case of evacuation, please collect your belongings, documents, evacuate in order. Do not push, run, or jump. Quickly walk out of the hotel. Take the nearest exit staircase. Do not use elevators. Exit way 1. When you are out of the room by front doors, please turn right. Follow the arrow direction to evacuate out of the area. Follow main staircase to go down floor. Quickly walk out of the hotel. Please don't run. Please don't re-enter the conference room. Please don't use the lift. Please assemble at the park opposite to New Saigon Hotel for a roll call. Hotel emergency team will continue to help you.
Okay, now we are ready to begin, to officially begin. So let me just start by saying, again, welcome to all of you, and basically start this fantastic meeting with this opening ceremony. Excellencies and distinguished minister, esteemed guests and colleagues, it is an immense honor and privilege to welcome you all to this year's Pasteur Network Annual Meeting. We are especially delighted to acknowledge the presence of Dr. Nguyen Ngo Quang, Director of the Vietnam Administration of Science, Technology and Training at the Ministry of Health, and Dr. Dan Quang Tan, Director of the International Cooperation Department of the Ministry of Health. Your participation is a true privilege and reflects a strong spirit of collaboration that lies at the heart of our network. From October 21st to 23rd, leading scientists, public health experts, and partners from across the Pasteur Network will gather for 3 days of collaboration, knowledge sharing, and innovation. This year's meeting places a special focus on young scientists within the network, including the Inspiring 40 Under 40 initiative, which highlights emerging researchers leading progress in infectious diseases research and public health innovation. So the program addresses critical themes such as epidemic preparedness, emerging infectious diseases, climate and health, vaccine development, and equitable research. Hosting the meeting in Vietnam provides a unique opportunity to strengthen regional and global partnerships and drive scientific cooperation. So we look forward to engaging discussions, fruitful exchanges, and celebrating the dedication and talent of the next generation of Pasteur scientists. And finally, a special thanks to Pasteur Institute of Ho Chi Minh, Dr. Trung Nguyen Quang, and the whole team. This, of course, also could not have been done without the support of Minister Madame Lang Hon Dao, Minister of Health of Vietnam, whom I would like now to introduce to you. So it is my great honor to introduce a remarkable leader whose dedication and vision continue to shape the future of public health here in Vietnam. Madame Lang Hon Dao is the Minister of Health of Vietnam and a member of the 13th Central Committee of the Communist Party of Vietnam. With nearly 3 decades of service, she has built an impressive career in public administration and political leadership. She began her career at the Ministry of Labor, Invalids, and Social Affairs, progressing through senior roles before becoming Deputy Minister and later the first female Secretary of Bac Ninh Province in 2020. In 2022, she was appointed Minister of Health, where her leadership drives policy, governance, and system strengthening across Vietnam's health sector. Madame Dao's commitment to public health was recently recognized with the World No Tobacco Day Award 2025 from the World Health Organization for her bold efforts to ban electronic cigarettes and heated tobacco products nationwide. While her ministerial duties keep her fully engaged at this time, she has kindly prepared a recorded message for us. So please join me in a warmly welcoming to Madam Lang Hondao as we view her remarks. Thank you.
Quý vị đại biểu, các nhà khoa học tham dự hội nghị thường niên của các viện Pasteur năm 2025. Tôi là Đào Hồng Lan, Bộ trưởng Bộ Y tế Việt Nam. Hôm nay tôi xin được phép gửi lời chào trân trọng và lời kính chúc sức khỏe tới tất cả các quý vị đại biểu đến từ các quốc gia tham dự hội nghị rất quan trọng này. Và tôi rất là vinh dự được mời tham dự trực tiếp để mà tham dự hội nghị thường niên của các viện Pasteur. Tuy nhiên thời gian này thì Quốc hội Việt Nam đang họp, cho nên cho phép tôi được có một số đôi lời chia sẻ tới tất cả các quý vị đại biểu tham dự hội nghị ngày hôm nay. Có thể khẳng định rằng với vai trò quan trọng của hệ thống các viện Pasteur trên toàn cầu, Việt Nam thì cũng đã đóng góp qua quá trình phát triển của các viện Pasteur trong thời gian vừa qua. Chúng tôi rất là tự hào là đất nước duy nhất có 3 viện Pasteur tại thành phố Hồ Chí Minh, Hà Nội và Nha Trang. Trong quá trình triển khai thực hiện các cái nhiệm vụ liên quan tới y tế dự phòng thì các viện Pasteur của Việt Nam đã đóng góp và tham mưu rất quan trọng cho ngành y tế, cho Đảng, Nhà nước trong quá trình triển khai thực hiện các cái giải pháp công cộng để góp phần nâng cao sức khỏe người dân. Và trong quá trình triển khai thực hiện nhiệm vụ thì viện Pasteur cũng đã tham gia tích cực trong các hoạt động của các viện Pasteur trên toàn cầu. Và ngày hôm nay thì với cái hội nghị quan trọng quy tụ các nhà khoa học, các nhà nghiên cứu của các viện Pasteur trên thế giới về Việt Nam ngày hôm nay thì chúng tôi đánh giá rất cao vai trò của viện Pasteur trong quá trình triển khai thực hiện các giải pháp y tế dự phòng, công tác đào tạo chuyên sâu, công tác nghiên cứu khoa học và các lĩnh vực hợp tác quốc tế trong việc triển khai thực hiện các giải pháp cho vấn đề y tế công cộng và nâng cao sức khỏe người dân. Và trong quá trình triển khai thực hiện nhiệm vụ thì chúng tôi thấy rằng chúng ta cũng đã trải qua rất nhiều các thách thức, và đại dịch Covid-19 trong thời gian vừa qua là một minh chứng có thể rõ nét nhất thấy được cái vai trò quan trọng của hệ thống y tế dự phòng, thấy được vai trò đóng góp của các viện Pasteur trong quá trình triển khai thực hiện nhiệm vụ phòng chống dịch Covid-19 và các dịch bệnh mới nổi, tái nổi, các cái bệnh truyền do Pasteur. Và trong quá trình triển khai thực hiện thì chúng tôi rất hy vọng với một cái hội nghị quan trọng như vậy, với sự tham gia của rất nhiều nhà khoa học, nhà nghiên cứu uy tín trên thế giới, thì hội nghị thường niên năm nay được tổ chức tại Việt Nam sẽ thu được nhiều kết quả quan trọng, tiếp tục đóng góp cho sự phát triển của lĩnh vực y tế dự phòng. Và với quan điểm của Đảng, Chính phủ Việt Nam thì có thể nói là chúng tôi đề cập cái vấn đề phòng bệnh là một những nhiệm vụ rất quan trọng và là nhiệm vụ đi trước để đảm bảo chăm sóc sức khỏe người dân. Chính vì vậy thì với các cách tiếp cận mới, những kết quả nghiên cứu mới và những kết quả thu được tại hội nghị này, với những chia sẻ quốc tế tại hội nghị này, thì chúng tôi rất là hy vọng hội nghị sẽ có thu được những kết quả hết sức quan trọng. Và về phía Việt Nam chúng tôi cũng sẽ có cơ hội để học hỏi và chia sẻ những cái kinh nghiệm mà Việt Nam đã, đang và sẽ tiếp tục triển khai trong lĩnh vực y tế dự phòng. Xin chúc cho hội nghị thành công tốt đẹp. Xin chúc cho các bạn có một thời gian làm việc hiệu quả tại Việt Nam và có cơ hội tìm hiểu đất nước, con người Việt Nam của chúng tôi. Xin trân trọng cảm ơn.
So we thank Madame Lang Hondao very much for her message, and now we move on to introduce the next speaker. So now it's my pleasure to introduce someone who plays a vital role in both science and public health here in Vietnam. Dr. Trung Nguyen, Director of the Pasteur Institute in Ho Chi Minh City. With over 20 years of experience in clinical microbiology and infectious disease research, Dr. Trung brings true expertise to our field. He holds a doctoral degree in odontostomatology, a master in microbiology, a PhD from Karolinska Institute, and completed postdoctoral training in Japan at Kyoto University. His leadership has shaped both academic and national health institutions, and his research has been crucial in understanding issues like antimicrobial resistance, respiratory and vector-borne infections, and outbreak response from H5N1 to dengue. He's also helped advance point-of-care diagnostics and made a real impact on medical education and public health across Vietnam. So please join me in welcoming Dr. Truong Nguyen, a dedicated scientist and leader at the heart of infectious disease research in Vietnam.
Dr. Mario Moria, President of the Pasteur Network, Dr. Rebecca Grace, Executive Director of the Pasteur Network, Professor Yasmin Benkat, President Institute Pasteur and Vice President of the Pasteur Network, Dr. Nguyen Ngo Quang, Director, Vietnam Administration of Science, Technology and Training, Minister of Health, Dr. Dang Quang Tân, Director, Department of International Cooperation, Minister of Health, leaders from the Public Health Institute, provincial CDC, hospitals, university, research institution, and the provincial Department of Health, representatives from the Embassy of France in Vietnam and the Consulate General of America in Ho Chi Minh City, distinguished guests, colleagues, friends, and colleagues from entire Pasteur Network. It is my great honor for me to welcome you all to Ho Chi Minh City for the 2025 Pasteur Network Annual Meeting. This gathering was a historic moment, not only as the first PNAM in Asia, but also as a continuation of our shared legacy following Pasteur Network Directors Meeting hosted here in 1991 and 2001. The Pasteur Institute in Ho Chi Minh City holds a legacy both profound and enduring. Founded in 1891 as a proposal of Dr. Albert Calmet, it was the first Pasteur Institute established outside France. From its earliest days, the Institute has been a symbol of scientific progress and public health leadership. It lays the foundation for vaccine production, microbiological research, and disease prevention across the region. Our institute has become an important component of Vietnam's health system. Operating under the Ministry of Health, we are entrusted with safeguarding public health across the southern region. Our responsibility includes disease surveillance, technical support for public health programs, outbreak response, workforce training, and capacity building for local health departments. We are not just a research institute. We are a frontline force in protecting communities and improving lives. Throughout the Institute history, many of our leaders have gone on to serve in pivotal roles within the national health sector, including Prime Minister and Minister of Health. The Institute has played a pioneering role in several landmark achievements, detecting Vietnam's first HIV case, sequencing the genomes of dangerous pathogens such as H5N1, EV71, SARS-CoV-2, and the monkeypox virus. We don't just study diseases, we have designed systems and prevent them. We contribute to national programs such as the expanded program on immunization, disease prevention initiative, risk assessment, and emergency outbreak coordination. We have built diagnostic infrastructure, trained future health professionals, and developed surveillance models that guide public health decisions. Whether respond to emergency threats or shaping long-term health strategy, our institute is deeply engaged at every level. Based on our work, the institute has been honored multiple times with the title Hero of Labor and has welcomed numerous high-ranking leaders of the party and state for official visits, reflecting the trust and recognition we've earned through decades of service. Since joining Pasteur Network in 1991, we embrace our role as global partner. We collaborate with institutes across the Pasteur Network on projects that tackle climate-sensitive disease, zoonotic infection, and emerging health threats. There are just a few examples of how we contribute to the Pasteur Network's shared mission. The Pasteur Institute in Ho Chi Minh City also actively participates in key scientific groups within the network. This collaboration enables us to share knowledge, learn from others, and introduce global innovation to Vietnam. Our commitment to research and innovation has helped us stay ahead of outbreaks. As we gather here in the most vibrant city in Vietnam, we are reminded of the power of connection. This meeting is not just about science, it's about people. It's about building relationships, exchanging ideas, and working together toward a healthier future. We are especially proud to spotlight young scientists this year whose energy and creativity will shape the next chapter of global health. Thank you for being here. Thank you for your partnership, your passion, and the belief of the power of science to make a difference. Let us make this meeting a celebration of progress, a platform for new ideas, and a step forward in our shared journey. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Tran, for your talk, for your words. And now I'd like to introduce Mario Moreira, President of the Pasteur Network and President of Fiocruz. At the Osvaldo Cruz Foundation, Fiocruz, since 1994, Mario Moreira holds a PhD in public policy from the Federal University of Paraná, with a doctoral internship at the University of Coimbra, Portugal, and a master's degree in public health from National School of Public Health, Sergio Arauca, Fiocruz, and in technology and innovation management from the University of Sussex in the United Kingdom. Dr. Moreira also holds an MBA in public management from the Getulio Vargas Foundation. In 2017, he became Vice President of Management and Institutional Development of Fiocruz, and he was elected President of Fiocruz in March 2023. So Mario, the floor is yours.
Thanks, Jose. Good evening, everyone. It's a great pleasure and true honor to open this Pasteur Network Annual Meeting here in Ho Chi Minh City. I would like to thank the organizers for this remarkable event and warmly welcome all the colleagues and authorities present. Professor Yasmin, Rebecca, Jose, Dr. Trung, it's a pleasure to share the table with you. But we are especially delighted to acknowledge the presence of Dr. Nguyen Quang, Director of the Vietnam Administration of Science, Technology, and Training at the Ministry of Health, and Dr. Deng Quang Tan, Director of the International Cooperation Department at the Ministry of Health. Your participation here is a true privilege and reflects the strong spirit of the collaboration that lies at the heart of our network. This gathering celebrates not only our science, but the people who make it alive. Scientists, partners, and especially this year, the 40 brilliant young researchers under 40 who represent the spirit and the future of this network. When I look at you, I think of another young scientist more than a century ago, who also believed in the power of science to change and save lives. In 1897, Osvaldo Cruz led Brazil to study at the Institute Pasteur in Paris. In his 20s, curious, determined, and deeply engaged with the great challenge of his time. He learned that science was not only about labs, laboratories, discoveries, but also about cooperation, collaboration, exchange, and the responsibility to act for well-being. When he returned to Brazil at 28, he became head of the Federal Serum Therapy Institute, today Osvaldo Cruz Foundation, Fiocruz, which celebrates this year 125 years. Back home, he faced the outbreaks of yellow fever, smallpox, plagues in a very, very young republic. His response was rooted in science, but also in innovation and the creation of new solutions for the problems of his time. Some of those challenges were eventually overcome, but many remain. It's necessary to rethink what kind of science we are doing, how, with whom, and for whom we are doing science. We face overlapping challenges nowadays. Emerging and re-emerging diseases, the climate crisis, demographic transition, persistent inequalities, and a shift in a global health architecture. These are not only scientific problems, they are social, political, and also ethical challenges. The Pasteur Network shows that science has been about collaboration, learning from others, building together, and sharing what we know for the common good. It embodies the vision of thinking globally and acting locally. Unity in 32 institutes across 25 countries and 5 continents. And empowering young scientists to grow, connect, and lead. Also, we must continue working to increase and empower women in science. The Pasteur Network has the whole and, I would say, the responsibility to do so. The COVID-19 pandemic revealed profound inequalities in access to the knowledge and technology, health products, which has led to avoidable deaths. World was split between those who could buy and those who were not allowed to, shaping an acceptable reality gap between North and South. Therefore, Brazil, during its G20 presidency, has assembled the Global Coalition on Local and Regional Production, Innovation, and Equitable Access. The principles of this coalition are the same ones that guide our network. Together, we can actively help reshape these asymmetries and build a more balanced and fair cooperation between North and South. That's why we need new science, more connected, more interdisciplinary, and more open to the world. We need innovation for new problems, but we also need innovation to revisit old ones with fresh eyes. The Pasteur Network proves this is possible. Working together across borders, sharing data, ideas, and trust, we transform individual effort into a collective exchange. A network is more than a set of institutes. We are talking about people connected by sharing values and shared purpose. Science cannot exist in isolation. It's a living force guided by ethical social principles. In a fragmented world, our greatest task is to stay united, to collaborate, to innovate, and to make science a bridge toward a healthy, fair, and more equitable future. As we open this meeting, let us have the courage to explore, to humble to learn, and to have belief, and through our network, we can turn knowledge into hope, and hope into action. The conviction that knowledge and technology, when shared, will change the world. I wish a great Pasteur Network Annual Meeting. Good night.
Thank you, Mario, very much for your words. I'd now like to introduce Yasmin Belkaid, Vice President of Pasteur Network and President of Institute Pasteur. Yasmin is a renowned immunologist whose research focuses on the interactions between host immunity, microbiota, and dietary factors. Her work has far-reaching implications for infectious diseases, immune-related disorders, and cancer, among many other clinical consequences. She previously served as a department chair at the National Institute of Allergy and Infectious Diseases, NIAID, and founded the NIAID Microbiome Program. So, Yasmin, please. Thank you very much.
Dear Master of Ceremony, dear Rebecca, dear Mario, dear Professor Nguyen, it's an immense privilege for me to be here today. So this is my second Pasteur Network meeting, and I cannot tell you how happy I am to see this network really developing, growing. And I have to say there is one thing that makes me particularly happy this time is seeing the 40 under 40. So I think this is really extraordinary to see the future of this network present here, and I'm really excited about the will of this meeting and this network to empower the next generation. It's also really, really emotional for me to be here in Vietnam, because in many different ways, this is really an extraordinary relationship that has started, like, as we said, 135 years ago. Louis Pasteur built the Pasteur Institute in Paris, and just 2 years after, sent Calmette to develop the institute in Ho Chi Minh City. Just 2 years later, which is quite remarkable. And there, as it was mentioned by Professor Nguyen, this was really the idea of developing and producing vaccine, something, well, there is someone against a vaccine? Vaccines that are very important. So very symbolically, I think this is an extraordinary journey to really come back to really the origin and the importance of the Pasteur and the Pasteur Network in empowering vaccine and vaccine for all. And I have to say then, through this extraordinary long journey and sometimes, let's say, complex journey that we have actually traveled, both institutes, the Pasteur Institute of Paris and the Pasteur Institute of Ho Chi Minh, are still standing today. And they have been actually since then joined by over 30 different institutes across the planet, spanning 25 countries. Each of us with our own challenges, history, context, but each of us united by a singular identity and bound by the shared values to protect, to educate, and to better human life conditions. I'm a direct product of the Pasteur Network. I was born in Algeria and raised there, and this is in the Pasteur Institute of Algiers that I learned how to become a scientist. And this remains the reality of many scientists across the world. The Pasteur Institute is where you can become a scientist, and in particular in infectious disease. 30 years later, I am back in the Pasteur family, and I'm extremely happy and proud to be here and arrive at this pivotal moment of fundamental transition that was an absolute necessity for the network to reach its full potential and impact. This transition that is actually occurring right now, this extraordinary journey that is actually the building of this extraordinary group as a power force that is with equal voices, this has been really led initially by Amadou Sall, that I think is here today, but also by Rebecca Grice, and now is actually, of course, led by Mario. And this is actually really going back to this extraordinary legacy. Both Amadou and Mario have relationships somehow with Pasteur, one with a historical one. Amadou was trained within Pasteur. She's really telling you about how all this entwined relationship that actually coming back to really the building of the Pasteur Network. So within this new framework, the one that is really happening right now, the Pasteur Institute of Paris is moving away from this historical, really founding institute to really become a proud and active member of the Pasteur Network. Within this framework, the Pasteur Institute will continue, as it has always done, to contribute via the teaching of the numerous courses, and it's providing via the training of PhD students, but also to the new program of MD PhD that we're actually creating, in which we hope to actually be able to mobilize numerous students and MDs from the network. I just wanted to highlight also a new program that actually was thought together with Rebecca, the Spark program, and actually Mallory is here today and can actually meet many of you to talk about it, that has for intent to reinforce the collaboration between the young scientists of the Pasteur Network, something that is actually extremely important and fundamental to pursue. I just wanted also to say that over the next years, we're really excited to continue to reinforce our scientific collaboration, and in particular those that really are aligned with our scientific priority, ranging from the mother and child, of course, climate and health, and many others. And in this context, I wanted to highlight a program in particular that could be of high interest to numerous investigators in the Pasteur Network, that is the CMTV. The CMTV is actually an infrastructure that is actually developed currently within the Paris campus. It's going to be, I think, the largest research center in which you can focus on vector-borne disease, something that, of course, is of extremely high importance to numerous institutes across the planet. The vision of this institute is not to be a Parisian institute. It's actually to be here to have open space and collaborative space to allow people to come, to be trained, but also to collaborate. So we're designing on purpose with actually a laboratory that will be open to allow numerous scientists from across the world, and including the Pasteur Network, to actually have a home and actually maximize our research on what is going to be extremely, even more important than before, a problem that is a vector-borne disease. So I would like also to take the opportunity here to thank other people, which are all the Pasteurians, the employees of Pasteur Institute, that actually across all the different institutes, there is around 50 employees of Pasteur Institute across the Pasteur Network, and I just wanted to thank them for the work they do. I wanted in this context to also thank the French Ministry of Foreign Affairs for the support they have actually provided to actually empower their work and allowing us to actually support this work across the network. I just want also to thank the ongoing success of the regional consortium that have actually built together, in which the Paris International Affair in particular has been really playing a key role. For example, the Afro Screen, a program in which many of you are actually involved, that is actually really an extraordinary success that we hope to be able to pursue, that involved Cameroon, Ivory Coast, Guinea, Madagascar, Niger, Central Africa, and Senegal. ECOMOR, that is a network on environmental health surveillance that is built with a partner from Cambodia, Laos, Vietnam, and which will soon be building synergies with Madagascar and New Caledonia. The creation of the Charles Nichols Share program in Tunis that has actually its first laureate this year, something that we're actually very happy to actually celebrate, and so many more. So just to resonate on the word that Mario has said, the world today is not the world that I have known. This is a different world. And the world of science in particular is facing unprecedented challenges, unprecedented attacks. In today's world, the Pasteur Network represents an extraordinary force, an extraordinary collective answer, an answer we can actually provide by reinforcing our collaboration, sharing knowledge, and training the next generation of scientists. So for this reason, I'm so happy that this meeting is really devoted to them, and I'm really looking forward to actually see the extraordinary force that is actually built collectively. And it is really increasingly fragmented world that we live. And more than ever, I think the Pasteur Network is an absolute necessity. And I'm immensely proud and honored to stand here with you and to celebrate this wonderful, wonderful adventure.
We are not, yes, we are live. We're live. So thank you. You wanted to finish something? Are you sure? Just on time. Perfect. Well, thank you very much, Jasmine, for your inspiring words. And now it's my great pleasure to introduce Rebecca Grice. I guess it says here that she's the reason I find myself here as your Master of Ceremony. I have a sense that Fatma has something to do with it as well, but well, it doesn't matter. So Rebecca is the Executive Director of the Pasteur Network and a driving force behind our global mission. So with a distinguished career that includes serving as a Director of the research arm of Médecins Sans Frontières, Rebecca brings deep expertise in infectious diseases, prevention, emerging infections, and public health interventions, particularly in low and middle-income countries. She's also passionately committed to mentoring and supporting underrepresented populations in scientific research, guiding the next generation of health innovators. Rebecca holds a doctorate, 2 master's degrees, and a bachelor's degrees from Johns Hopkins University, as well as a habilitation à diriger des recherches from Faculté de Médecine Paris-Saclay. I don't know if I pronounced it right. Sorry. So please join me in warmly welcoming Rebecca Grice as she shares her remarks.
So first of all, thank you, Jose. You are a very good MC, and thank you for participating. I did not, however, see you doing the lion dance, so we will wait for that later.
You have to wait until
Yeah, later. Thank you, Dr. Nguyen. Thank you very much. All of the support of Pasteur Ho Chi Minh has been phenomenal, and we appreciate your generosity. To Yasmin and to Mario, I'll thank you both more clearly at the end of what I have to say. So it's a joy to be here with all of you, scientists, innovators, clinicians, and colleagues from all around the Pasteur Network. So as many of the speakers have said, we're united by something rare and something more and more precious as the world changes, a belief that science can make the world healthier, fairer, and more humane. And so I want to tell a story because I like to tell stories. And the story that I want to tell is one that you may have heard before, which is in 1939, a young, in fact, he was 26 years old, graduate student in mathematics arrived late to class while he was doing his doctoral degree. And he showed up late. He found a seat in the back row of the class, and then he proceeded very quickly to fall asleep in the back. And when he woke up, all of the other students had left, the professor had left, and there were 2 math problems left on the blackboard. And he sort of said to himself, oh no, this must be the homework. So he hurriedly copied them down and said, okay, I have to go get to work on these 2 math problems. So he began working on them, but he started to realize that they were far more difficult than he thought. And he thought to himself, oh man, I'm going to fail this class. This is bad. So he kept working and kept working and kept working, and he finally found the solutions to the 2 problems. And he decided that even though he was late turning in his assignment, he would go directly to the professor and hand them to him himself. The professor was absolutely astonished in looking at the piece of paper, because those 2 problems were not homework. What they were unsolved math problems that had been plaguing scientists and mathematicians for hundreds of years. And so why is this story important? Well, the student, his name is George Danzig, he went on to publish his solutions, and he became the father of what's called linear programming. And linear programming still is used in fields like economics, in computer science, and in public health logistics. So what's important here is that it reminds us that discovery often begins where certainty ends. Danzig solved these impossible problems because no one told him that they were impossible. He approached the unknown not with fear, but with curiosity and persistence. So too often in science, we inherit the boundaries that other people have drawn for us. We hear what can't be done, the question is too ambitious, the data is messy, the solution's too far away, you'll never be able to do it, it's too much for you, you shouldn't work on that, you can't. But the breakthroughs that have changed the world have always come from those who have dared to cross boundaries. And our network is built on shared values that transcend geography, culture, language, and those values are scientific excellence, solidarity, curiosity, and service to humanity. So across all of the members of the network, they're working together not just to study pathogens and mechanisms, but to protect people, not just to publish papers, but to build capacity and build equity in science. And those values are alive in this room. So those of you who are a part of the 40 under 40 represent this next generation of Pasteurian leaders. I'll take a hit and say that none of us on this stage are young. Our time is close to over. It's time for all of you now. And you're creative, hopefully globally minded scientists, and it's you who's going to face the challenges of the next century. Those are ones that you know and ones that we don't know. Climate change, epidemics and pandemics, widening health and inequities, among many others. And these problems are all thorny and daunting. But Danzig, what he did is show that they're not impossible if you think they're impossible. So I just want to offer an invitation to all of you, which is to approach the challenges before you with the same spirit that he did, and also that which hopefully defines our network, which is ensuring that we have curiosity without fear, excellence with humility, and trust and collaboration that transcends borders. These boundaries between the possible and the impossible are often just a line drawn by convention or habit, and science can cross it. So I challenge all of you and hope that you will do this, and we look forward to seeing all of your achievements. But before I close, I just want to have a special word, first of all, for Yasmin, for her courage and her steadfast commitment to scientific excellence. Sometimes old people's careers are old people. Sorry, me too, I'm old. I apologize. Some of us experienced individuals. We need to see and learn from them. And her commitment to this and her commitment to ensuring scientific excellence is also something that helps propel all of us forward. And I thank her for that. To Mario also for his generosity and for his leadership. It's a much harder job than it sounds, both to run Fiocruz and to be the president of the network. And Mario has bravely accepted that challenge and has been contributing to all of the work we've been doing. I also just want to thank Dr. Nguyen one more time for all of his support in Pasteur Ho Chi Minh, and I want to welcome all of you to this next chapter. We have 2 more events after this, and so if you'll bear with me, we have to swap the order because we had a small plane delay. And so in moving forward, I think I'm just looking towards Nick and Fatima. I think we're going to start with another artistic interlude, which you'll see on your program, followed by Show Me, who is arriving from the airport right now and will give the plenary presentation. Thank you so much.
So thank you very much, Rebecca, for that inspiring talk. Reminding us of this fascinating story and how sometimes getting out of the box is so important, you know. Your message beautifully combines scientific insight with the human story behind key discoveries, reminding us of how perseverance and vision can drive transformative progress. That fearless mindset and determination are a powerful reminder of how breakthroughs happen when we dare to think differently and follow our convictions. So your story truly sets the tone for the innovative spirit we foster here in the Pasteur Network. And this year in the PNAM, we are encouraging, or we are highlighting the role of the young scientists. And as Rebecca said, we are going to finish with a speech that I'm sure it will be very inspiring to all of us, but we had to have this small change in the schedule, so we will now have a little bit of fun, I guess. Science is not devoid of fun, and we all hope that we'll enjoy yourself in the meeting, having fantastic discussions and fantastic talks, but also watching this show that we will watch now. So I ask the speakers to leave the stage for a moment, and we will have the show, and then we will finish with Shomi's talk. Thank you very much for your attention.
Welcome to Vietnam.
Yes. Okay. As was mentioned before, this year's PNAM is celebrating youth, their energy, their talent, and leadership. And there is no better way to start than by hearing from somebody who embodies all of that. Whenever she arrives, we will make a big applause for her because she's making a big effort to be here. She's coming straight from the airport. I don't know if it was guarded by the police or even, but she's going to make it in 1 minute here. So her name is Chomi Hassan Chaudhry, and she's a water, sanitation, and hygiene activist from Bangladesh and co-founder of Awareness 360, a global non-profit empowering young people in over 70 countries to advance the UN global goals. So her work has earned her global recognition for 30 Under 30, the Diana Legacy Award, and most recently, the 2025 Young Global Leader by the World Economic Forum. She has inspired millions through her talks around the world, from the UN to the Global Citizen Festival in New York, and continues to prove the power of youth to create real change. So I don't know if she's here already, or she's going to be here in a minute. 1 minute. So I have to stall this 1 minute and be very slowly speaking. So just, if I have 1 minute, I guess it's a very good sign of health from the network that the emphasis, the highlight is put on young scientists. I think that institutions and networks are you can measure them the health, but the importance that they give to young people. So they are the 40 under 14, and this talk that we will have now really goes in that direction. So, are we good? Then we can go. So I leave the floor to show me that.
I made it. Just got here from the airport. I appreciate all of your patience. Okay. Good evening, distinguished leaders from the Ministry of Health. ST, thank you. Thank you. Good evening, distinguished leaders from the Ministry of Health, esteemed guests, fellow speakers, members of the Pasteur Network, scientists, researchers, and young leaders. My name is Shomi Hassan Chaudhuri. I'm a water, sanitation, and hygiene, or WASH activist, and the co-founder of a global nonprofit called Awareness 360. I'm originally from Bangladesh and currently based in London in the UK. Before I speak about climate or collaboration, I want to share where this journey truly began for me. So allow me to be a little vulnerable with you today. 11 years ago, my mother died from diarrhea. And it's an illness we all know how to prevent. She was sick for only one day. My family had access to clean water, education, sanitation, awareness. Yet this tragedy happened to us. And that realization shattered me, but also shaped me. Just 4 days after her death, still grieving, I decided to take action. Because if I waited even one more day, I felt that maybe someone else will lose their mother or someone important in their life. So I intentionally stood before a community of sanitation workers and delivered my first WASH talk. I was devastated, as you can imagine, having lost the most important person in my life. And the pain was still very raw. But I also discovered something that changed my path. The incredible power of storytelling. How people can connect more through stories than through numbers. People didn't just listen, they were connecting. They saw themselves in my story. When I shared about me losing my mom, they were thinking about maybe their mother or someone they love. And that was the moment I realized that stories can move people to act in ways statistics never will. And from that day on, I've carried one belief. What troubles you most often points toward your purpose. So find your passion in what bothers you. For me, that means committing to WASH, because access to safe water, sanitation, and hygiene remains the foundation for preventing disease. Despite gains since 2015, since the SDGs were launched, 1 in 4 or 2.1 billion people globally still lack access to safely managed drinking water, including 106 million people who drink directly from untreated surface sources. 3.4 billion people still lack safely managed sanitation, including 354 million who practice open defecation. And 1.7 billion people still lack basic hygiene services at home, including 611 million without access to any facilities. When I'm speaking to you in a gorgeous room like this, I kind of feel guilty to even read these statistics out loud. To think that people out there don't have access to these basic human rights, that is what bothers me. And that's where I found my passion in WASH. From that conviction came Awareness 360, a youth-led nonprofit that equips young people to take action to combat social issues that bother them. Over time, it has grown into a global movement across 70-plus countries, empowering over 50,000 young people who have led projects reaching over 3 million people in communities like sanitation workers,
sex workers, refugees, people with disabilities, under-resourced school children, and many other marginalized groups. My work in WASH also led me into neglected tropical diseases, or the NTDs, because they cannot be separated, right? In 2023, I myself became critically ill with one of those, dengue. That experience reminded me how climate and health are now inseparable. Recent climate events show this clearly. In January, severe wildfires swept through California, forcing large-scale evacuations and overwhelming local health systems. Across South Asia, intense monsoon floods have once again displaced millions, from my country Bangladesh to Pakistan, where entire communities have lost homes and livelihoods. Even in Europe, countries like Bulgaria have recently faced water infrastructure breakdowns and contamination risks after recent extreme weather. And growing up in a flood-prone area myself, where my own home was flooded multiple times, I know how terrifying it can be for communities who lose homes and latrines and see them vanishing under rising water. Climate change is not a problem for there or it's coming. It is already arriving everywhere, regardless of which continent we are based in. And that is why the Pasteur Network's focus on climate-sensitive diseases is so vital. Your work builds the tools to detect, predict, and respond, not just for the global south, but for every region that climate disruption will touch. But I've learned that science alone cannot save lives unless people understand and act on it. The challenge is not only what we know, but how we communicate. And my role lies in that space, translating evidence into narratives communities can use. But I've learned that too often scientific brilliance stops at publication. The world's most pressing problems don't get solved inside journals. They get solved when findings travel beyond them, and that's why communication matters. Science communication is not a soft skill, it is a survival skill. Because when science isn't understood, literally lives are lost, and when it is, dignity is restored. It turns data into decisions and research into resilience. We have seen during outbreaks, from cholera to COVID, that misinformation spreads faster than microbes when communication fails. Scientific clarity saves lives just as much as scientific discovery does. The Pasteur Network itself was built on Louis Pasteur's belief that science must serve humanity. And that vision only holds true today when communication is part of the cure. We need to make complex models understandable to local health workers. We need to make knowledge accessible. We need to make sure that whatever you are working on are understandable by local health workers, policymakers, and young activists. Because if communities cannot interpret your findings, then they can't act on them. And if they can't act, then even the best discoveries risk staying trapped in reports. Time and time again, we have seen that when science speaks a language people understand, change accelerates. Now, I must say this with affection and respect. We activists may not be adding citation counts to your papers, but we do use your work around the world. We do use your research to power our activism. It informs the policies we advocate for and the stories we share with communities. So thank you for making your science a tool that we can trust. Through Awareness 360, I have walked with communities too often excluded. Every flood that submerges a toilet, every drought that dries taps, every disruption that forces people to drink unsafe water, these are not policy issues, these are life issues. Over the past decade, I have traveled to more than 50 countries, and I have directly engaged with young people from over 100 countries, from island states to urban megacities. These young people aren't waiting for permission. They're seizing their own futures. Don't mistake young people for one homogeneous group. We are playing our part in various capacities as entrepreneurs, business leads, researchers, scientists, innovators, activists, lawyers, politicians, and so much more. I think of the 27 Pacific Islands law students whose persistence advanced an important legal milestone on how countries safeguard our shared environment and protect the climate system through the advisory opinion by the International Court of Justice. Their courage is proof that youth are shaping systems, not just stories. I've seen youth leading solutions, solar hand wash systems in drought zones, community sensors mapping flood risks, hygiene campaigns in informal settlements. They show me every day that youth are not leaders of tomorrow, but collaborators of today. And that is what 40 Under 40 celebrates, young visionaries who refuse to stand on the sidelines. But passion alone is not enough. We need scientists like you, rigorous, methodical, grounded, as allies, as mentors, as advisors, as co-creators. And that's what I call co-science, knowledge flowing both ways, where lived experience shapes research and research shapes justice. In simple terms, I mean communities and scientists working side by side, each learning from the other. Imagine your disease surveillance system strengthened by youth mapping teams. Imagine early warning dashboards co-designed with communities. That is the bridge we must build between innovation and inclusion, between discovery and dignity. As we open this meeting tonight, I ask each of us to hold one pledge in our hearts. Let us ensure that the science we advance truly reaches those who need it most. Tonight, I'm deeply honored to have been invited here as a keynote speaker. But what the world needs just as urgently are keynote listeners, people who don't just hear, but act, who listen to those at the margins, to the communities, to the data that speaks quietly. Because in the end, science without access is just information, and science shared with empathy becomes transformation. My mother's story began with loss. But here, among you, it continues with hope, because your work gives that loss new purpose. Every model refined, every disease prevented, every life saved extends that story. Before I close, I want to honor the late Dr. Jane Goodall, whose life's work reminded us that compassion and curiosity must walk hand in hand. She once said, "You cannot get through a single day without having an impact on the world around you. What you do makes a difference, and you have to decide what kind of difference you want to make." As we reflect on our work in labs, in classrooms, in communities, let us choose the kind of difference that uplifts, that connects science with society, and that keeps hope alive even in the hardest times. Thank you, Pasteur Network, for your leadership, your trust, and this global platform. I look forward to what we will build together in the days ahead. Thank you.
So we thank Shami for that very inspiring talk. And I have just one last piece of announcement. We have a group photo that we will take after this in the lobby of the hotel. So after this, we reconvene in the lobby. We have the photo and then the welcoming cocktail. So to finish, I wish you all the best of this meeting, to get the most out of it, to get engaged in discussions, to enjoy the talks. And I ask for one last round of applause for all the speakers tonight. Thank you very much.